today another episode. So today I'm going to talk about something that I just saw on TikTok, right? So short story, I got back home. When I got back home, I'm saying, okay, I think yesterday I skipped an episode of Life Principles. So let me actually go into an episode of Life Principles. Then I remember that I had nothing to talk about. So I was like, okay, let me just scroll, and I'm thinking I'll get something. Then the first thing that happens, I'm going on TikTok, I get the screenshot and said, oh my God, let me now go and share this one. But then there's something that is interesting. I was supposed to be editing videos before I came here, but then I was now debating if I go and talk about life principles, I'm going to be exhausted. Then I'll come back and I'm not going to do the best work that I'm supposed to be doing on a video that I'm editing. So I said, okay, what if I start to edit the video? Then I will not have energy to go to work on life principles. So I said, okay, let me now go on life principles. Then I'll record. Since I've worked on this video before, it's going to be an easy thing. I can work on it tomorrow in the morning. But then now I'm supposed to be talking to you, and I hope you find value from this video. So the thing that I found from when I just went on the internet is this, right? It says, is a screenshot which says money listens to discipline before it listens to dreams. This is the screenshot. This is the screenshot. Money listens to discipline before it listens to dreams. So, because we speak about principles, let's just get into it, right? So, what did I think of when I saw this post? I was like, okay, this is the reason why I got to a place where I said I now need to talk about principles. I've shared with you a story about how I got into debt, and that's one of the very first videos that I did, I think on episode number 1, right, when I was sharing why I changed this channel to life principles, right? So the thing is this, what I learned the most from having debt, and during that time I was praying to God, help me out. I've been a nice child to you, so why don't you help me out? Why don't you give me some portions of my blessings so that I can convert them to money and stuff, right? But then, you know what, I was praying for this, but God gave me this, and one of the things that he gave me was wisdom. And I remember way back then when I prayed for wisdom, and that time, I think because of that phase of my life, I got to get a lot of wisdom, right? And the wisdom was, right, God has some things that he will do for you, but he's not going to do certain things for you. Like, if you look into, well, the way this earth runs, right, God has already done certain things, right? God blesses you with the opportunities, with certain doors. He opens certain doors for you, right? Even if you have been knocked on certain doors, but then there are certain doors that you need to knock for them to be opened. God is going to tell you that you need to knock on this door, right? Then you actually knock. So the aspect of knocking on a door, that's the discipline part that this post is talking about, right? There's an aspect of you doing something. That's where discipline comes into play, right? So let's say for some reason this life principles podcast, right, turns up to be this big and massive thing, right? You know what's going to happen, right? People will think it's because of luck. No, it's not because of luck. Because right now I'm speaking to 17 subscribers, right? Yes, they might go and increase and increase and increase on a steady curve, right? But then it's only the consistent, which is, if you're consistent on something, definitely you are putting the discipline. You are disciplined about that. But it's hard to do certain things if you're not even seeing the results, right? So, but then that's what differentiates those people that become successful and those people that become losers, right? Or the normal people. Let's not identify them as losers. It's the normal people, right? And these people that become high achievers, successful people, is the difference in consistency. They are able to tolerate low levels of pain over long periods of time, right? If you can't tolerate low levels of pain over long periods of time, right, you are not going to go far, right? So you realize that it's like a marathon runner. Marathon runner, you feel like quitting many times along the journey, but you say, okay, let me keep on going, right? Because remember, the journey is not for the swift, but it's for those who are able to go the long mile, right? The long way, and to do certain things, right? And those people who are willing to wake up in the morning and say, okay, today we are now going to do it again. And speaking of that, right, in terms of discipline, right, and we have to associate with it with the responsibility, right? The people that tend to be more successful are the people that have a lot of weight on their back. a lot of responsibility, right? That I learned it when I got my employees, right? Because I was adding employees bit by bit, managing my own finances up until a moment when I just hired 3 employees in there. I had 2 employees in there, one camera guy. So I increased his salary so that he would match everyone. And I was supposed to be doing this, right? And when I did that, I was like, wow. You know, it's definitely lead to a sleep. Definitely, there's a certain level of pain that you go through. But then, you know what was fun, right? After I think 3, 4, 5 days, I went over it and I got over it. I moved on and I was now saying, okay, this we have to figure it out. I don't have to say to these guys, I don't have your money by the month end. They will be expecting this company to be delivering. They don't want this company to be like other companies, you know, our African businesses. They'll be like, okay, these African people, they don't want to pay on time. They don't want to do things like proper structures. They don't want to do things in a straight line. But I said, I have to operate this business in a straight line. Because again, if I'm going to be teaching you about life principles, I have to operate with principles on my business. So I noticed that at the moment you have a lot of burden, a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, you start to think differently. That's the reason why you realize that there are so many married people and parents that do better than the normal bachelor, right? So let's say a parent is earning $200, right? And a bachelor is earning $200, right? There are so many high chances that this parent, because they have a lot of burden and a lot of responsibility, they tend to have their life going upwards. In this one, but they don't have a lot of responsibility and a lot of what, usually their life goes down. It is what it is. Yes, they might be like, okay, on paper, on aesthetics, right? They'll be like, okay, we are far better off. I'm driving an M3, I'm driving a car, I'm driving this type of a car. But then on paper, this one, they try to accumulate the liabilities. These ones they go for assets, right? So you realize that if you now match responsibility and discipline, you're good to go. But if you can do certain things right over and over again, right, and you're willing to go into the game and you're willing to crush it, right, definitely you're going to win, right? So what is it that we also need to talk about, right? On the other side, there is the part where he says, before it listens to dreams, right? Money, according to me, this is where I might differ. Money doesn't listen to your dreams, right? But your dreams, they carry a certain amount of money in them. So you have to listen to the dreams that you have. You are supposed to be listening to the dreams that you have, because in those dreams there are so many treasures, right? It's like God gives you these dreams, He gives you these visions, He gives you these talents, He gives you these gifts, so that in each and every one of those there are treasures, right? What you just need to do is to open those treasures, right? But each treasure is not just like, okay, the art of opening is the art of actually using that treasure, or let's say that gift, that talent, going after that dream, going after that vision, right? That's the art of opening up, right? Then you find what's in store for that, right? So it's what is required to open something. It's like if I give you a safe, a box, and I say there is 100,000 packs, but it's locked. You have to figure out how to open it, right? The art of opening that safe, right, so that you crack the code, right, so that you open it, is where the discipline comes in, right? That's where the discipline comes in. But you realize that the man on its own is not going to do much for you, like in terms of making you, yes, you might be able to do, but then in terms, what actually what actually satisfies a person is this art of opening the safe, not the money, right? But it's the I've done it that is more satisfying than the money, because after you get the money, you still need to find another thing to go and chase, and you say, okay, I've done it again, because you feel more better when you've done it than when you are just given certain things. But then if you go for the principles, you realize that God gives you the dreams, right? God gives you the visions, He gives you the talents, He has blessed you with the gifts, right? So it's on you again, so that you open those gifts, those talents, those visions, and those dreams, so that you actually see what God has put in those places, and you say, okay, I've discovered. It's like God has made the minerals that can give you money. Gold on its own right now, 1 kg of gold is worth more than $100,000, right? 1 kg of gold, right? But God is not going to come down and say, okay, let me dig up for you to the point where there's gold, right? He has blessed you with a mindset. He has blessed you with a mentality. He has blessed you with the brain that works, and he taught you the principles. He says, seek and you shall find. So the seeking is on you, and the finding is on you, and the finding is left for those people that actually seek, right? Like, just like I told you about the knocking is on you, because God says knock and the door shall be opened for you, right? So if you want the doors to be opened for you, you have to knock, right? And if you want things to be given to you, you have to ask. Those are principles. And you might be saying Nigel loves principles, but I'm quoting from Jesus, God himself. He says this: if you want a door that is open, you should knock. If you want to be given things, you should ask. And if you want to find things, you should seek for them, right? You should search for them. So if you want to find gold, you search for it. If you want to find information, you search for it. If you want to find opportunities, you search for it. If you want to find girlfriends, a woman, a husband, a wife, what? You find it. You search for it. You don't just say, okay, I'm going to pray for these things, because there are certain things that you're supposed to be doing that will not be solved by prayer, but will be solved by actually doing something. That's why you realize that there are so many people out there that follow these basic principles, and they have sought for these principles. Because the principle was put in place, it was not meant for Christians only. These people are crashing it out to them, because they understood the aspect that the principle doesn't obey a Christian. The principle will be used by anyone who needs to be using that principle. If you follow the principle, the rules, the laws of the principle, you are going to realize that you get benefits, right? Because when God was putting these principles, he didn't put them for Christians only. The only time when you realize that things were meant for Christians only is the aspect of getting into heaven. All the other aspects, trust me, they are open for everyone. Just like rain, it falls for on almost any length, wherever you are, to the evil person and to the good person, the rain will just come down. If the evil person plants and you decide not to plant because you're a good person, you will just suffer. It is what it is, because the principle is for God's children. But then when it comes to getting into heaven now and spending the eternity with God, that is meant for Christians, the people that are followers of Jesus Christ. Those are the people that are meant to go into heaven. Because the principle of getting into heaven is now found on John 3:16, where that whosoever believes in him shall not perish. So it's not about what they teach you out there. It's about whosoever believes in him shall not perish. So if you believe in Jesus Christ, thumbs up, because your life is good, right? Yes, you might mess up, you might do this. The thing is, whosoever believes in him shall not perish. That's at least what I got. Yeah, I know there are certain things, but yeah, you know what? You are a sinner. You were a sinner, but if you believe in Jesus Christ, you start your journey of being pruned. You start from this person who is not complete. You mess up your life, but bit by bit, God will be purifying you. So definitely you fall, you rise. But it will get to a point where you figure it out and you'll be perfect. Because in God's eyes, he is patient with you. He understands where you're coming from. He understands the struggles that other people that judge you, they don't even understand. So with that being said, guys, please make sure that you follow the principle. Money loves discipline before it listens to dreams. With that being said, cheers, I'm out.